We've been hearing a lot about the Georgia election and some of the different players involved, including the Secretary of State. Let's hear some more about how their real behavior has been thus far.
In this very strange, very high stakes situation with all eyes on your state?
So the last 2 weeks have been a lot of conversations on the doors. We just knocked on our 2 millionth door. We've made 5 million phone calls, 3 million text messages, sent out tons of postcards, tons of mail. And, it's in the middle of a pandemic and over the holiday season. So the president is right. I will concede this point that Georgians are angry, but they're angry because we have a president that has told us to drink bleach. We've had a governor that has lied about what he knew about COVID-19, despite the fact that everyone knows that the governor's mansion is 3 miles away from the CDC headquarters. We have a Secretary of State that has cut the number of early voting days, that has cut the number of early voting locations, that has cut the number of drop boxes, and that has sent out a notice that he plans to prosecute organizations like ours who want to provide water and pizza and hand warmers to voters who have to wait in long lines. And so he's absolutely right. Georgians are angry, but there's been some energy over the past 2 weeks, quite frankly, over the past 2 months. There is clarity now about how important the vote is, how important Black voters are, how important young voters are to the outcome of Georgia's elections. There's clarity now that we are a legitimate, a proper battleground state where every party, every candidate has to fight for every vote. There aren't foregone conclusions about who's going to win based off of historical turnout numbers.
Yeah, it's such an important point. I mean, this is a wake-up call for all concerned. I want to, the polling has this race very close, and I think the assumption has been like, we don't know, polls are all over the place, but if you look at Georgia, it's going to be close. I mean, everything points to it being close. It was close the last time around. It was close in the presidential. You just mentioned the Secretary of State, and I do want to ask you about him. I mean, obviously, he has gotten, I think, justified plaudits for standing up to the president's corrupt attempt to essentially overturn the election. But you just listed a bunch of things. You just listed a bunch of things that he has done vis-a-vis your organization, including warnings about prosecution for handing out bottles of water and closing early voting. Do you think? What do you think of his administration of this runoff thus far?
Listen. What I think is that we are going to have to make sure that there is overwhelming participation in our elections to ensure that the will of the people is reflected in the results of these elections. Listen, I heard the tape as well. I haven't listened to the full 1 hour tape. We've been a little busy, forgive me. Yeah. I heard the 5-minute clip. And, I also read that the Secretary of State had no intentions of releasing the audio from the phone call unless he was attacked by the president, right? And so, in his self-interest, he released this tape to the public. And so what I will say is that we are going to continue to chop wood and carry water. And again, make sure that we have overwhelming turnout so that there's no doubt what the will of the people is.
And say Ufat, who is there in Georgia, the New Georgia Project, which has been doing a lot of work for a very long time, now squarely in the spotlight of the nation's politics. Thanks so much for making time tonight.
Find podcasts for Smart Health Talk on iHeartRadio or YouTube.